breeze blowing, storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't feel. Mike's where the page lies, it's about to begin. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. There'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend, Mike, he's your man. Then he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here at Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide.
All right, everybody, good evening. What is up? It's September, and we're tracking tropics. And we have all of our Florida peeps back. Where have you been? Good to see everybody. This is a Daily Brew. We usually go live in the mornings, but we're streaming live tonight because we got tropics cooking, and we're going to talk about it. Try to keep it about 30 minutes or so. We'll see how that goes. But hey, this is a little opening here. This is Mike from Mike's Weather Page. I'm coming to you live from Oldsmar, Florida, and this is our Daily Brew. We've been streaming on YouTube for 6-7 years now, every day, and now we're streaming live also on Twitter and YouTube. So hello, everybody. Good to see you. Nothing's official. I have to put that out there, especially since this is the time of year we get a lot of people that probably don't follow us religiously. I am just a weather blogger. I'm not official. Always refer to the National Weather Service and Natural Hurricane Center. I share a lot of models. Models are scary for some people. I understand that. I'm getting a little bit of heat today, more than usual, I think, because anxiety's up, and I get it. But listen, if you don't know me by now, this is what I've been doing now for since 2009, sharing models, and I'm not going to stop. So if you don't like to see the possibilities, and definitely you don't want to be here, but we've done it a lot of years, and we've grown from 5,000 people to over 1 million. But it was a little rough online today, I will admit. I had a lot of people calling me out, saying I was fear-mongering click hyper. But anyway, I don't know, whatever. I got thick skin. So we're going to say just a few haze. We got this chat thing rolls by a bazillion miles an hour, and I really want to get into what everybody's here to see. We go live in the fall. We go live every day, 3-4 times a week during the spring, fall, and winter. So we spend a little more time saying hellos. But I get it. Everybody's a little anxious. So what do we got cooking here? What's up, Eric? We're watching the Rays, man. The Rays are ahead. What's up, West Powell? Jesse Robertson. There's a lot of folks from up north never experienced a storm or a cone of uncertainty or spaghetti models. What's up, Kevin from Wilmington? Brett, block them. We do sometimes. Jason, nothing tonight, buddy. Look at this. Jason asked over YouTube, what am I drinking? We are drinking some Monster. My wife was so good. She brought me like 8 different flavors. This one here is Ultra Fiesta Mango. Man, not a good one. Woo, man. All right, so here's what we got. So we're going to show all the models. And go from there. Let me go what's cooking in the world. I'm probably not going to get to see the chat. I'm going to really focus on the chat when we're done, so I'm not being rude to anybody. Miss Shelley is our administrator. She helps a lot behind the scenes. She's done a lot for Mike's Weather Page, and I really appreciate her these last couple years. We have a great little team here. All right, so real quick, here is the tropics map for the day, and this is what we're going to talk about real quick. We're going to talk a little bit about Fiona real quick. I know everybody's anxious about this guy. This is Invest 98. We're going to talk about that a lot. We're not talking about this. We're not talking about that. We're briefly talking about this, and we're going to talk about Fiona right now. No, we're not. We're talking about Gaston right now because I have that on my Windows screen. I'm getting so professional that I actually got like what I'm going to show now, like a real producer. So I was right the first time. There's Fiona. Stick to the script, Mike. So Fiona, holy moly, 130 miles an hour, right? We have hurricane watches all the way up in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, a very rare storm going up there. So we have hurricane warnings for Bermuda. We have a lot of people in Bermuda watching. Here is the latest models that show wind speed. Same timing. Everything is exactly the same. We've been talking about this for 3 or 4 days now. You might get 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts overnight tonight, Thursday night, mainly on approach. This is Friday, 6 a.m. But, it's coming in. It's coming in hot. The winds are picking up overnight, 80. Friday morning, you might get 100, 108. This is the latest Euro. Latest GFS showing about the same. So prepare for hurricane conditions into tonight, into tomorrow morning, and it's going to be gone fast, okay? That's the good news. And then we got to go to Nova Scotia. They're going to be having one of the rarest storms ever up there. We're talking 930, 920 millibar system, 100-mile-an-hour winds possible coming in. Worse positioning, too, because they're expecting 30, 40, 50, 60-foot seas, and this is going to be a lot of surge rolling in for them, and that's going to be Saturday. That's the GFS, and that's the Euro 924. I don't have to tell you how fast that's going to be, so Nova Scotia battening down the hatches for that. All right, lastly, here's Gaston, just because we do have people in the Azores. It's a tropical storm, and guess what? You're going to have tropical storm through Friday and Saturday, all the way up there in the Azores. Tropical storm warnings, Tropical Storm Gaston. What do you think about that? Okay, so here's the deal. Let's talk about our system. This is it. This is weathernerds.org. Now, check out the convection starting to fire. This thing pulled up today. Number one thing that was said a lot today, and I think this is coming from a lot of meteorologists, is the idea because our storm did not have a true center, the models don't mean anything. And I totally disagree with that. Totally. Okay. I believe the general area was correct. So the general thinking of models is correct. You'll have shifts. Yeah. Depending if the model's 40, 50, 60 miles. But we had circulation now that the models were initializing in a pretty good spot. So yeah, the exact pinpointing of any tropical system this far out is impossible. And I should say that really quick. Spaghetti models, I got all the models to show everybody. Looking at individual runs will absolutely make you bonkers, right? Every 6 hours we get a new run. The reason I'm posting them now is we're talking a potential Florida impact here late Monday, Tuesday. That's 4 or 5 days. So it's worth showing you those possibilities. So a lot of Mets, don't want to show those, and I don't know what's going. I don't know. There's been very little chatter about this system, But so anyway, here we got we're getting convection popping now, and it looks like it's definitely trying to fire some storms off. We're starting to see some high cloud tops about right here. And if you look at some of the spinach maps here, this is your 850 millibar on your null school. This is the best it's looked in a long time. This is lower level winds. So definitely getting rotational spinach, as we say here on our page. So there you go. So it's definitely got it's got a spot that the models are able to use. And the NHC marked this L earlier, and they actually went as far as putting possible tropical cyclone on the surface chart. So it's got a circulation. 500 hasn't caught up yet, but 700 is. So it's getting there. It's getting there. All right, so where's this thing going? Now I'm going to show you all the spaghetti models, but another thing I've been hearing a lot of is that the front's not going to make it down to Florida to influence this thing. Well, the surface charts, we've been showing the surface charts now for since Monday almost. This is the latest for Monday night, this week coming up. And look, this is the NOAA official surface chart, and there's a pretty darn hefty front still showing up. Okay? The reason that I have been so, I went out on a limb, I think Sunday, Monday, with this gut feeling of this, what we're seeing. We talked about it months ago that these lingering fronts that we've been seeing all year long has changed the whole tropical season because it's weakened the Bermuda high. We've had a front across the upper Gulf, it seems like, the whole summer. That's weakened the Bermuda high. We saw that with Earl curving. We saw that with Fiona curving. Now we're seeing a lingering front influence a system down in the Caribbean. This is a typical October-style storm. And typical October-style storms, as they develop, they start accelerating, and they feel that influence of that front, and they go off to the northeast. That has been, when people ask me, that's been my thinking from day one because of these fronts. The fronts have pushed down, and we said it in our Daily Brew that if the tropics get going in September, we're going to see October-style systems, and this could be what we're seeing. So that's why that confidence is there for me, at least, and I can believe in it. Now, when you started seeing the GFS, this is where all the other Mets, nobody's followed the tropics more ther us this year. We knew the GFS has been terrible, and we look at things like ensembles, and I've had the IMO opinion that don't even look at the GFS, but that's been messing everybody up with trying to communicate what's happening. So the latest GFS has shifted significantly today to the east. Okay, this morning it was like almost Texas, Louisiana, and of course all the Mets that are mad probably at what I'm doing, they're like, see, you can't post models because look, now the GFS is Texas. Well, you guys know what we thought about that. So all right, so here we go. Tropical tidbits. Here we go. Mr. Levi. Levi's having more traffic to his site than ever. I donate to him. I have for several years. He knows it. We talk a lot, but he actually put on Facebook, and I communicated. Hopefully, you guys see it. But he definitely takes donations on his site. He's a one-man band too, and he asks for donations. So if you got any MWPs out there that appreciate Levi and what he does, go to his site. There's a donate button on the very top right, and he does this out of his passion too. So here's the 18Z models. We're going to have brand new overnight models at 9 o'clock Eastern. So unfortunately with these models, a lot of these models are based off of GFS. Okay, but what we have seen is this. The consensus models are now turning. The Euro, the Canadian, the Icon are all predicting South Florida. GFS went from Texas, way over here, to Louisiana, to this, and now it's over here. So the GFS went like completely in like 4 runs, back to where everybody else is thinking. So anyway, this is the latest spaghetti models. Good, you get that feeling. Things you learn with spaghetti models is you have that confidence of that system pulling up and feeling that front. You're getting tighter spread, or less spread, tighter confidence, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that. You don't want to see big shifts like we saw. I said this morning with the GFS, I'm like, this is not what you wanted to see. But we went through all that and it ended up being an outlier, which should have been ignored, and it turned out so far that the GFS is terrible. So things we're worried about. These are spaghetti models. Very, very conductive environment. We have a high pressure setting up down here in the Western Caribbean. The hottest waters of the whole season are here. The hottest waters, the deepest, hottest waters, and loop currents. So we have, unfortunately, the ability for this thing to really intensify. We've had major hurricanes showing up regularly. Now, little good news, still hurricane news, but if our Euro and others are showing this fast acceleration, it's going to have less time to develop. So that less time means less chances of this thing really getting going. But like we've shared that graphic a bazillion times, and I'll share it more in the morning, but 3 days is all a storm needs from tropical storm to a Cat 5. All 4 Cat 5s. I'm not saying this is a Cat 5 by any means. I'm just saying all 4 continental U.S. hurricanes that were Cat 5s were only a tropical storm 3 days out. All 4 of them. So don't get wrapped up in these models only showing 980, 990. Things can happen fast. The only good news also that we're seeing is if this does take more of a north track, it's going to interact more with that front that's going to be hovering around, and that could induce a little dry air and shear, maybe helping weaken. But as I've said it before, have not seen that lately. The Gulf is too conductive for that, in my opinion. I haven't seen that happen. Once this thing gets going, the Gulf, it seems like it overrides the dry air because of the hot loop currents that we have. So just the potential is there. Here's some more models. Let me show you. These are your latest GFS ensembles. The only reason I'm showing you these is we're starting to see a lot more of the GFS ensembles bending into Florida. The latest operational run came in about right there. So we're seeing a GFS swing. But, again, it'd be irresponsible for me not to show this. There are 1 or 2 outliers, but just doesn't, you can't say it ain't going to happen, but it just doesn't seem like it could happen. Another model set I wanted to show you here is, I think I have it up. Maybe I don't. I thought I should have had it up. There it is. All right. This is the Southwest Water Management Site, and this one shows the Euro in the orange. So you can kind of see that trend towards Florida. So let me close that out. So, all right, now here are the Euro ensembles. These are more important than the GFS, in my opinion. One thing that we've seen now with the Euro ensembles, we see a high clustering of all their members. Every run, the Euro now is confident. The Euro is king when it comes to upper air patterns. I'm convinced. Of all the models, it seems like it's the most consistent that can read upper level winds and jet streams. So it's getting tighter. Confidence is there. There's 3 little outliers out here. We had outliers with Fiona. One time the Euro predicted Florida, and most of the ensembles were here. So it was wrong on that one operational run, if you remember, with Fiona. When this is when you look at the ensembles and say, so this makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense. We talked about it this morning that we might see a little shift south because more of the ensembles were south. So, hey, the only other possible good news out of this, not for the Bahamas, and this was on the radar from day 1 too, that this thing could develop so strong, so fast, it could get pulled up and maybe even miss Florida. I mean, there is that chance developing that this thing could actually, possibly, even hook below the state. But, we'll see about that. Still a lot of ensembles here pointing towards the Florida West Coast. So these are your latest on that. All right, so here I want to show you all the individual runs that I had loaded already, preloaded on Tropical Tidbits. So we got a lot of folks down in Jamaica. So these are all, we're going to go over all the model runs now. Where's Cantori? Well, I'm going to hook up with them. The Hubbard's Marina, what's up, buddy? Dylan, yeah, the black line is the average. Susan just brought up a great point about the Suwannee River. One of the concerns here with a system in Florida is the ground is completely saturated with all the rain that we've had. There's a lot of rivers right at their peak. So there is some concern. I mean, like where Shelley lives, the Space Coast area has been saturated. So yeah, there's definitely concern about the about the ground. And I got a little other inside scoop. I think I mentioned it this morning. The supply chain is a little iffy right now with power grid restoration. So hopefully not, but if we get a big storm, there could be some areas out of power for a little bit longer. So think ahead. You know what I did today? I went and got gas. I dug out 4 or 5 gallon jugs. I got my Furman generator running. Started right up. Battery wasn't dead. So I'm thinking ahead, man. If we get a cone in the state of Florida, it's going to be mad chaos. Even if we don't get it. You all know that living here in Florida. So yeah, and that means, of course, make your run to ABC. You got to get your storm supplies, ABC Fine Wine and Spirits, our Daily Brew. I don't mention them as these are supposed to be short and sweet. That never ends up happening. All right, so here's the individual models. These are this is what I love. Captain Danny, appreciate that, buddy. These are these just came out, and we got high confidence. I have never seen. Let me go here and check it out. Let me show you. I've never seen this far out. Not, chances of it. I don't know. You would think they're going to change, but today's afternoon's runs here, all three exactly Tuesday 12Z, which is Tuesday morning, about 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I don't know if 12Z. I think 12Z goes back to 8 a.m. or 7 because of daylight. I don't know. I just say Tuesday morning. But look at this. It's incredible consistency. The Euro, Icon, and CMC. So all three exactly the same spot. We're going to see if it happens or not. But that's 3 models that, but things are trending to the east. We talked about these trends, right? It wouldn't shock me to see some of them go below Florida overnight. That would be a great trend for Florida, at least, not the Bahamas, but we will see a little windshield wiper effect. We will see this. We're going to see it starting to hone in. And if you all remember, I shared the Irma story of how the models were. So this is exactly what happened with Irma. So if you remember, like Monday, the models were really supporting Eastern Gulf, Florida even. And then, let's say, I think it was yesterday, they really opened up with the GFS, right? We had models almost in Texas. But then, I bet you overnight, our models are going to get tight again. They might go a little east, but then they end up coming back. That's that windshield wiper effect. So you can't make knee-jerk reactions on individual model runs. You just got to believe in the models that you believe in. And the GFS has just not been believable this year. So, all right. So that was an interesting little tidbit. All right, so here's your model runs. All right, so we got folks down in Jamaica. This is your Tropical Tidbits model runs. Remember, there's a support button right here if you guys can, and if you do, you don't have to, but just say it's from you're a Mike's Weather Page fan. That would make, because I appreciate what he does, and he's done a lot for our weather community for sure. But all right, so Jamaica. Here we go, all models. This is Sunday. Same time as always. Sunday could have a developing system just south of Jamaica. It's close enough to Jamaica now that you're going to have to be paying attention to it. I don't know why we don't have a PTC out. Apparently, it has to be 48 hours. Somebody told me before they issue a PTC. I get it, but Jamaica could be looking at something on Sunday morning, Saturday night. This is Saturday night into Sunday morning, 997. This is the Canadian. Now we got to worry about Cayman Islands, 989, 988, 981. So possible hurricane. Cayman's into Monday. And here's what the Canadian shows. Basically, diagonally, right through the state, kind of north-northeast. Could bring effects. Talked about this a bunch. Don't focus on the West Coast. This thing could end up being an East Coast problem too. As it cuts through the state, there's some phenomenon called the brown water effect that a system that goes over the warm waters of the Everglades will not lose intensity. It sometimes can help a system because that water is so hot. So don't expect much loss of intensity crossing the state of Florida, meaning hurricane conditions on the west coast will extend all the way to the east coast. And then we're getting little signs of this high pressure building back in from that front. And there has been some turning up into the east coast from not just the CMC, but Euro. So again, East Coast, this could end up impacting the East Coast states too. It's I know somebody's saying, "Oh, just pick everybody." Well, that's the facts. And here's the problem with the we got the Gulf Stream here, right? This thing goes from 988 to 979, and like I said, the Canadian's not a really good intensity model, but it tells you exactly what could happen. This thing gets over that warm Gulf Stream, it can intensify a little bit, and this would be Friday morning. So, again, landfall with the CMC, this is Tuesday. Through the state, exits the state on Wednesday morning, so it could be a whole day affair exiting the state. It's riding right up on the East Coast here a little bit. This is Wednesday morning. And then Thursday morning would really be bringing in some surge and storms into northern Florida. So that's that one model. It's just one model. It's not a forecast. All right, here's the latest Euro. Developing just south of Jamaica. Sunday morning, 1,000 millibar. Developing into a possible hurricane over the Caymans into Monday. Sunday, Monday, 987, 984, 980. Let me zoom in here a little closer to South Florida now. It might take a second to load, so I might let it do it. It's loading pretty good. So here's the latest Euro. And this is what you got to worry about. There's not a lot of mountains over western Cuba, but we could have a little disruption on the eastern side with the rotation. But we're still showing 981, 978, 975, 72, 66. So you get the idea. The Euro is showing strengthening on approach. 975 for the Keys. This is Tuesday morning. And look, the same general northeast over South Florida. Here's Wednesday morning. So this is, the only reason it sounds like I get excited posting these things is we said a couple of days ago you want to see model support. I live and die by models. I always have. People think that I was I didn't call Michael, but when the models were starting to show the consistency, you believe in the models, and we're seeing that. They could be wrong, but man. Anyway, so there's the Euro. So we got to worry about both sides of the state. Again, this thing cuts through there. The Everglades is not going to slow this thing down. It's going to be 971 right off the coast. And then it does a little more logical escape this time. So there you go. But there's that. And then the Icon, which I've mentioned before, isn't the best steering model. This one's really hard to see. Let me see if I get a little closer here. But same timing, Sunday morning, south of Jamaica. Could be close enough to bring up some tropical storm warnings for Jamaica. Caymans starts to develop it, and then same thing. So there's three models. This is the 18Z actually, so it's still consistent. But see, here's the thing. Here's that frontal line. That frontal line on Tuesday, these things are starting to show this pattern. So like I said, there's a chance that this thing could actually miss the south part of Florida. I mean, let's hope, right? Good thing, too, like I said, it won't have a lot of time. Worst case would be something out here and have another, day. But so far the models are, focusing a little more south. All right. So there's those three. That's really it for models there. Let's see what the latest UK did. So we got the Euro. Oh, here's the latest GFS. Let me show you the GFS. So the GFS earlier today was going through the Yucatan, and this is what the GFS is doing. This is what you don't want to see happen. Would be cutting that gap down here and give it an extra day over water, and it brings it to 930 millibar. So the thing about this is the GFS is, first off, remember today earlier it was here, then it was here, then it was here, and now it's here. So that's a pretty big swing in the last 4 runs of the GFS. First off, it's completely doesn't know what the hell's going on. But the latest run is now, it just builds more confidence for Eastern Gulf Florida. That's all. Now you have 4 models that are, I don't know, man. If it doesn't happen, then I'll start over again. I'll just follow like everybody else and say, well, I don't know. We're just going to wait till 2 days before. So I don't know. People wanted me to go more out on a limb a couple years ago. They're like, man, you're just following like everybody else now. And I'm like, you're right. So, but anyway, there's a new GFS, and it does weaken in a little bit, 979, 955, but this would be Thursday morning right here. But now it's becoming a little more believable. This is not a big swing. Here to here, believe it or not, is not a very big swing. It's just a tiny little turn. If everybody remembers Charlie, right? It was supposed to come here, right? Tiny little turn at the last second, and went south. So I'm I don't want to. You can't say I'm glad the GF. I'm satisfied. I'm trying to think of the word here. I'm not glad the GFS went east. I'm glad the fact that we're getting at least consistency, if that makes sense. So anyway, there you go. All right, so that's that. A couple of things to note if you're new to Florida. This is really important. Any storm that passes to your north, you're going to have more effects to the south. Okay? A storm that goes here, you might not get much to your north. Storms rotate counterclockwise, and the worst of a storm is the north, and east side. So, a storm that passes down here, sometimes you don't get anything in Tampa because all the heavy stuff's down on this side incoming. So just think about that. Also, for surge reasons, this is not a good setup. If, any system off the Tampa Bay coast, Hurricane Elena, was parked out here. It had a lot of time to push water in, but rotating water north of Tampa Bay is the worst case scenario because the water counterclockwise flows from a tropical system. So if a storm goes north of you on the west coast, you have more surge chances. If the storm comes in below you, you won't have any surge to your north. Same thing goes in the Panhandle. The Panhandle, people told me stories in Panama that a mile down, mile west had almost no damage. A mile east was devastation, and that's because of that flow. Everything's counterclockwise. So a storm's worst impact is the east side as it rotates in off of, the Gulf of Mexico. Storms coming down this way, not as intense at all. It's that incoming bottom part of a counterclockwise flow. That probably didn't make much sense. But here's the other thing to worry about if you're just moving to Florida. Again, if this thing cuts through the state, you're going to have hurricane effects on the East Coast as much as the West Coast. A little less maybe, but you're still going to have storms. So don't think evacuating 1 hour inland is going to change anything because a storm that cuts through Florida does not weaken very fast. So I'd start, thinking of that. Lots of people evacuated to Orlando during Charlie, and it was terrible. The last thing I want to bring up is, with what we saw with Irma, surge can still end up happening on the East Coast as our system comes this way. Some of these setting up here with GFS now, some of these rotating winds can still impact the East Coast. So don't, East Coast, West Coast, even though it's a West Coast looking storm, the East Coast can still definitely have effects, especially if a system rides up the coast. This is, the Euro is showing this cut like that, and rotation. Think about that. Counterclockwise on the east side as our storm leaves. Counterclockwise storm the heavy stuff's pushing in north of your system. It's the opposite on the East Coast. It's very confusing, I know. South side on the West Coast, north side on the East Coast. And storms, you know, squall lines, tornadoes. Latest rain maps here. Let me show you this one real quick too. This is the H-WARF. H-WARF does a really good job with intensity. Doesn't really do very good with track. I love the H-WARF model. I just think it's really good. I think it's probably 8 out of 10 times is correct with intensity. I believe that the model did even good with Fiona. It showed a potential hurricane for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico when nobody else did. So this is what the H-WARF is currently showing. This is 52 knots, you know, pressure 991. Believable. This is Jamaica, right? Very believable. Developing system. Hour 72. So as we go in time, H-WARF starts to see these very conductive environment for intensification, and now we're up to 80 knots, 967. 967, pretty strong little hurricane, but it keeps intensifying it. 950, you know, 948. This is what everybody's worried about. 949. So, you know, does it need a lot of time to rapidly intensify? And that would be what you'd be most concerned about, is what it does here if indeed it is coming up towards Eastern Gulf. Doesn't take much time. I do want to see what the UK model is showing for Invest 98. So here's the latest UK 12Z. Here we go. Drum roll. I haven't seen it yet. Dun, da, 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 da. Hey, ooh, ah. All right, so the latest UK weak system, tropical storm by Jamaica, developing near the Caymans, crossing Cuba. This is Tuesday morning right here. Same time frame now. You got 4 models with the exact same time frame showing lower Florida on Tuesday morning. This means, I'm going to show you, this means Monday night you're going to start feeling winds in Key West if this verifies. 4 models Tuesday morning. But the UK showing, you know, again, this is where you don't look at the intensity. There's no way this thing doesn't intensify. But what we're looking here is track. And, you know, the UK is doing that little turn up into the Big Bend area north of Tampa. So lots of west peninsula thinking. And this is the other one we can look at. Let's just look at all of them from right here. Here's the Euro, if you're just tuning in. Cutting through the south part of Florida. Again, here's Tuesday morning. I don't know why we don't hear more people talking about this system. I don't know why. Here's the latest GFS. Even the GFS is showing Tuesday morning here. So technically everything is right here Tuesday morning. GFS and others. So there's Tuesday morning. And it does that little hook north of in the Big Bend area. Icon doesn't go out that far, 5 days, but here's Tuesday morning, and it kind of gets close to the South Florida before it stops. I don't know, people. Man, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know why we don't see more chit chat about this system. I don't know why. You know, I don't know why. I know why people are getting on my butt, because nobody else is hearing about it, so they're thinking I'm hyping. But I don't hype, people. Just call it like I see it. Let's look at some rainfall totals for what we can see. Now, obviously, with that big shift south for the Euro, it's going to show the rain in South Florida. Thank you, Jennifer Kennedy. Christina Randleman, appreciate that. I see some people throwing some stuff over there. HH Miami, thank you. Donica, thank you. Sonny, thank you. No plane date, I don't believe. Captain Danny, I saw you there, buddy. Hubbard's Marina, you just got... there's a lot of comments getting spammed. I don't know why. If you think you posted something and you didn't say anything bad, it's sometimes sometimes the AIs just hide things. Right. So, thanks for the stars over there on Facebook too. By the way, getting a bunch of them. Nikita, thank you. We're gonna do like the last 5 minutes to say hi. So, I promise. Here's total precip on the GFS or Euro. Obviously, the heavy rains would be South Florida if the Euro was right. Earlier today, the Euro had a more northerly track. That's a big swing for the Euro. Yesterday's 12Z. Yesterday's 00Z. So let me show you the last 5 model runs with the Euro. This one's not running. Is it running? It didn't do it. Oh, there it is. All right, so here's the last 2 days of the Euro. All right, there's one run. This basically tells you where it's thinking. So you talk about windshield wiper effect. So we had north of Tampa. Then we had down by the Naples, right? And then 3 runs ago, smack dab in the middle. Makes complete sense. Today, overnight, went up again, right? And the last run, flip-flop, went down again. So, if the 00Z comes in and it's here, then we know pretty much that this is not going to go below the state. But if we're starting to see more trending down here, that's good news for Florida for sure. Bad news for Bahamas, because we got people in Bahamas. I can't say good news because it's bad news. What good news for one is bad news for another. But, but the Euro's been right there, man, in the Florida Peninsula. So lots of rain. But just for example, if it was right, let's say the 00, there's lots of rain. Anything purple's a foot of rain. But it'll be fast moving. That's good news. So that's what we're at. I'm not going to get into anything else. I hope that made sense. I don't want to get it. So we do more of the sciencey stuff in the morning, why it's going to strengthen, why this, why that. And we are possibly going through the A-Bear box. The A-Bear box. The A-Bear box is a box that is shown right here, actually. So you can faintly see it on the Southwest Water Management. That is the A-Bear box. A-Bear box says that any 110 mile an hour system, might not be 110 then, will go to South Florida. Fiona was not 110 when it crossed the other one. There's 2 A-Bear boxes, but just a little Florida tidbit, tidbit. So I got news for you. Florida Peninsula, get water just to have water, because once we get a cone, and if Florida's in the cone, guess what? It is chaos. I'd be getting toilet paper too, man. You don't want to be using those shop towels. All right, so listen, I'm not gonna pinpoint locations at this point. I show models to show that we've got trends. Category people are asking. Listen, all you got to do, figure that out, is look at the old Saffir-Simpson scale right here. It's on my page, and you can see the old Saffir-Simpson scale, right? Now, anything in the 960 range could be 2 or 3. And the Euro, if you want to know, the latest Euro was showing 966 on approach. Now, earlier today, the 00Z run was showing 950 off. See, this was overnight run. This is what you don't want to see any of them. 966 is still, oh God, now I got to find it. This is where I got so many dang models up. I don't even know where the hell it's at. Where did I do it at? I have no idea. Did I close it? Did I lose it? Oh God, where's my button? Oh man, I got to redo my button again. All right, there it is. I can see it right there. Anything in the 966 could be borderline 3 or 2. It depends on wind speed. They don't go by the pressures anymore. But what it showed earlier today, overnight run, 950. The reason it's showing 966 here and 950 here is it had a little bit more time over water to intensify. So that was last night's Euro. It went down to 947. You can look at the scale and see what that is. So really curious on the overnight runs, as always. I can't say I'm excited about them. I got in trouble last night on Twitter. I'm very curious about the OOZ runs. I'm really curious, do we see any shifts back north? There you go. So, anyway. Man, there's a lot of people's comments are blocked. Shelly, what's up with that? Mike, what am I drinking? Nothing yet. Drinking, I took one sip of this Monster Energy drink. We were live this morning for 2 hours. I don't think I came up for air one time. Probably not a good thing. All right, so let's leave that there. We'll just leave this up for now. All right, we'll say our goodbyes. Soapbox time, though. Listen, I get it. I had one person I even responded to on Twitter. It looked fear-mongering when I posted the Euro. Yeah, it does. People get confused. They do, and I have to remember sometimes we have new people on our site. Posting one single model output run is probably not wise. To me, it's wise when it's within 5 days. Honestly, that's me, man. I understand you don't post a 10-day model run, but we're talking Thursday, 2 p.m., a run comes out that's showing potential Tuesday morning landfall. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's 5 days. If we were to have a 5-day cone, South Florida would be in it right now. And I don't know why. I do know why we don't have one, but we don't. And if we get an N8C cone and Florida's in it, people are going to, because nobody's even talking about this. Out of 10 people I've mentioned this to in the last 2 days, they look at me cross-eyed. Like, what are you talking about? That's because it's not on the news. Nobody's talking about it. They don't want to talk about it. I always say when following football, the people who have been with me the longest, I swear it happens every year. I say it in all my seminars. I don't know what it is. It's so true, and we're seeing it again. Falling football, once falling football starts, nobody talks about tropics anymore. They talk about changing colors and football. And I hope I'm wrong. I just have to turn the computer off for about a month if I'm wrong, because I'll have a lot of people saying I told you so. So anyway, hey Mitsu, I'm going to say hey to some folks. Thank you there. I'm glad to see you over there. The toilet paper was a joke. Scotty. That's a joke. Now you're thinking because I'm telling people to buy toilet paper? My wife works at Publix. It is, trust me, they were rationing toilet paper for storms once. She had a cart full of water today, and they were asking her, why you got all that water? Because they had a ration of water one time on a storm. I'm sorry if I offended you on a toilet paper comment. There, I said it. Jerry Coe, still might be able to go to Talladega, buddy. Cool, Scott, they're talking about it at Brevard. That's great. Panhandle watching. Panhandle, you're looking a little better each run. Football, Miami's watching. Good. I'm glad to hear people are watching it. Ingrid keeps sipping on caffeine till the next stats. Well, we could look at, why not? We'll look at the new Euro together. New Orleans, very, very little right now. The trend is Eastern Gulf, Florida. And you would still be on the backside no matter what. So remember, if any system goes north in the Gulf, the west side is the left side. Michael, 100% Euro this year. GFS has been terrible. Louisiana talking about it. You know why they're talking about it, Laura? And they should talk about it. I'm not taking anything away from anybody talking about it. You need to talk about it. But the GFS last night did this, and it had everybody talking. Obviously. You'd be talking about it too, right? So this was last night's GFS run. Now it's over here. So that's where you can't get too wrapped up on one individual model run. I would not have posted this model run. I posted the Euro model run for a reason. I only post models when I have a reason. I posted before the Euro run today the consistency of the South Florida, CMC and the Icon. I wanted to show. Now we got 3 models showing that. But you gotta be careful posting something scary like that when it was such an oddball run, especially when all the ensembles were over here. So that was a weird run. The only reason I posted the Fiona one with Euro, it had a lot of ensembles pointing to Florida. Exactly, the same thing happened exactly with this storm. We had a lot of weak ensembles on the Euro showing west. The Canadian started out Texas. Same thing it did with Fiona with a really Gulf track, right? You can learn model bias by watching models every season. And it was totally happening the same way that Fiona started out with this system. Weaker west Euros and a really west biased CMC. And it took the CMC a couple days to catch up, and now it's caught up. And we've lost all those weaker west scenarios on the Euro. That's what's kept everybody from mentioning Eastern Gulf, because they see these other model runs. And it's the responsible thing to do. Right. All right. Oh my goodness, I got big right there for a minute. All right, let's put up tropical tidbits here. We're going to look at the latest on, we got Fiona down there. Let's take a look at the 00Zs are going to be coming out here any second. That'll be our closing bell. Oh, they just came out. Oh, and look at that. So now you're going to start hearing about it. That's a huge east swing here on the models. Florida West Coast. Still could be wrong. We could still see some do this. But man, I'd bet money. Brew Crew. The Brew Crew knows it. I think we called it Sunday. I said that's where it's going. And it's not a guess. I put a lot of thought in my thinking. Anyway, latest models just came out. Tropical tidbits. These are the latest spaghetti models. Does not include the Euro. The Euro is somewhere down here. The Euro track is not on this one. So the Euro supports, and I don't think the Icon is, or the CMC is not on this one. So we actually have 3 models that aren't on this down here still. So you basically have 3 more model runs that are South Florida that aren't on these models yet. The Canadian, Icon, and Euro. So there you go. Anyway. Hubbard Marina, we're going to buy that banner. So my buddy Dylan Hubbard, we'll just leave it on here for the rest of the night. Dylan there owns Hubbard's Marina. It's so ironic, Dylan, you found a business that had your last name on it. How'd you do that? Hey, Christina, thanks for being a new supporter there. Miss Shelley will reach out to you. What's up, Wesley? I put a lot of thought in my thinking. That's something a redneck storm chaser would say. What's 2 a.m., Dale? I missed you, buddy. Tampa, yeah, I'm not. I got this. Here's the deal. That front's coming down Tuesday. This thing is supposed to be down by the Keys by Tuesday. It's feeling that front, so I don't know how far north I would say this thing can actually get, unless it really starts to accelerate. We need a cone, by the way. I don't know what they're waiting on. Michael, I got plenty of. Don't say what, Mike. Oh, Hubbard. So you don't want me to say the banner? Hubbard's going to put a banner up that I'm not welcome there. You should just go ahead and put Jim Cantori on there too. I'm storm chasing in my backyard. Yep. Ashley, the other models will be updating. The 00 models the operational models will be out around midnight. Christopher, the Panhandle's just looking less and less, man. That front has been showing up. We started looking at that front on Sunday. Why is that, Shelly? What did they do? Too much talking? I have more questions. Kate Coro, listen, everybody on what am I thinking? I'm not going to talk about specifics. West Coast Florida, at this point, a lot of models are pointing your way. Crossover is interesting. The likely track would be ahead of that front, meaning off the East Coast. You know, if that front's draping, it doesn't seem like it's going to have enough ability to turn up. So I would just say casually watch East Coast. Again, it's so important. A pass through the state, let's say, well, that's a little too much angle. We get a pass through the state like this. Remember, surge on the backside on approach. On exit, it's on the top side. Because of the rotational winds, the counterclockwise flow. If this storm passes to your south on the west coast, very little effects. To the north. Less effects to the north of a storm. Same thing goes down here. Once it exits the state, most of your storms are going to rotate in on the top side. So the only thing about a setup like this, though, you'll get it. And if you remember some storms, we had more action in Miami on some storms that were over here. That's because you get a lot of this energy feeding off that warm water. And what it is, it's the squall lines that you watch. It's, the eye wall's got the winds, but for us with the Florida Peninsula, it's different than a lot of storms. You get the effects of squall lines building up and just rotating around and getting all that extra juice out here with the Gulf Stream. So any storm here, you're going to get East Coast storms on approach. So you get more effects on the East Coast sometimes on a West Coast hurricane, because on the initial approach, you're getting wraparound storms on the East Coast side, and then once the storm passes, then you're getting it on the top side. So the East Coast can sometimes get more effects than the West Coast. And remember, it's not going to weaken much crossing the state. Anyway, all right. So there's a lot of people today in there. We appreciate it. So no Savannah. Savannah's definitely going to have issues. Savannah's going to be right there. This thing could bring in some surge. Direct hit, no. But if this thing exits the coast, which a couple models showed more of a setup like that, you would have more storms coming in off of the Atlantic to watch. So I guess the really only good news is timing is really starting to make sense, right? This thing could be gone Thursday, Selfishly, I'm thinking for me to go to Talladega. If there is a Mother Nature, I still might be able to go to Talladega. But anyway, all right. Well, I mentioned a lot of locations. It's hard to do. So, all right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed that and got a little information. I really appreciate you tuning in. And again, if you're new, welcome. Thank you for all the new supporters. Make sure you check out our cruise. We have a great time in March. We can talk about the season. Got to get the word out while we got a lot of people in here. That's, we got a lot of diehards. They don't pop in all the time, but we got this real exciting cruise coming up. No hurricanes in March. So make sure you check it out. All the information's on the site, and we got a lot of fun planned for that week coming up. But thanks to all my supporters. I got a lot of great companies that support the page. Please, when you get a chance, check them out. A lot of them will be coming if we get a storm. That's most of the supporters that I got are in the industry. So we'll probably have a lot of post-storm coverage with recovery efforts, and especially if you're down here in Florida, we'll do some videos. Checking out our power. Unfortunately, we've still got almost 1 million people out of power in Puerto Rico. It's terrible to shift to the next storm. I feel bad. I got some friends down there. Gio's one of them. He's been texting me how bad it is down there with the flooding and the power. So, 900,000 people still without power down there. Bermuda's fixing to get hit tonight with some strong winds. Nova Scotia is going to get hit with a really strong storm. And it looks like we're going to have some United States coastal action coming soon. Some of these intensity models, holy moly, I usually don't share them, but man, they're off the chart. Almost all of them are in the category 1, 2, 3 range. I usually don't show them, but you can believe them. Wow. All right. Well, listen, we'll be live in the morning. So we do this live 9:19 every day. It's our normal Monday through Friday during hurricane season, and usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday every other time of the year. I'll do a little quickie YouTube short in the morning. I'll try to get it up a little earlier tomorrow. I do these little YouTube shorts and go over the data from the overnight, and we'll see if there's any more trends below Florida maybe. I don't think we're going to see any more trends in the Gulf as far as going west. I think we're finally seeing consistency on the Eastern Gulf, Florida setup. Enough that, we're seeing consistency. So, yeah, and hey, Shelly, you're back talking again, so everything's good. And hey, thanks everybody. It's cool. I mean, I post a lot of fun stuff. A lot of times, I rile people up. But meeting so many fans over the years, it's been amazing. Just our little weather family for sure. It's been a great ride, and unfortunately, it takes a storm to bring everybody together like this. But we got this, right? You got plenty of time to plan. I have a lot of amazing links on my site, but please check them out. I mean, the site's educational. I have hurricane plan and prepare links. All this section down here is very helpful. Tons of links. Any questions you might have. Shelly's always there to help. We have a brew crew section for supporters. There's a lot of guides in there. As we get closer, I'll be updating the site to start showing local National Weather Service offices, surge maps. This site right here, everything on this site will be dedicated to storm links, and we'll be getting, as we get closer. You can, I even put traffic links on here. That's a very important thing, man. So, but I'm right here with y'all, so we'll get through this, right? Okay, we'll see everybody in the morning. Michael, I'll answer that one for you. The notifications we have no control over notifications. They don't work. I don't even get them when I go live. So you're just going to have to set your alarm. 9:19 is easy. Just set your Alexa or your watch. But our Cat 5s paid good money. Shelly will vouch for this, but we have a texting service for our subscribers, and we do text when we're on special lives like this. So anyway, all right, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Be good. I got a radio show at 6:30 in the morning. They're calling me from Miami. Can you believe it? I got to be up at 6:30. I'm up at 6:30. What are you talking about? I start posting at 5:30. But I just worry now that I have to be up. I might have to tell Julie to wake me up. I'll be up. You look at my posts. I start posting at 5:30 in the morning every day. People are like, "What's he doing up already?" So, all right. See y'all. Have a great night. Thanks.